Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here. It's right now Game 5 of the NBA Finals, the Showdown slate between the Lakers and the Heat. Before I get into the video, if you guys are new to the channel, my name's DK. I make daily videos breaking down NBA, NFL, PGA, and esports, daily fantasy sports slates. Before we get into the analysis, I do want to say thank you guys again for all support. Currently right now, 5.17 thousand subscribers on YouTube. The easiest way to support me with all the content being free is just leave a like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you know when to upload videos and know when to go live. I will be live streaming for this one 30 minutes before lock on my YouTube channel to go over everything, so make sure to check out the live stream, guys. Also, if you guys cannot watch YouTube videos, I do upload on Apple Podcasts. The link is in the description below. It's the DK DFS show. But with that out of the way, let's jump into the video. So before we talk about players and the prices, let's quickly take a look at the Vegas odds for this game. So currently right now sitting at 216 over under. Lakers are 7.5 point favorites. Nothing really big to report here. We have Dragic doubtful. Do not expect him to play. You never know. Could surprise us. He did try to warm up before Game 4, but don't expect him to play. So I'll go kind of top to bottom here with my player-by-player breakdown. Talk cash, talk GPPs, and then talk about captains as well at the end. So let's start at the top. LeBron James 10-4. In cash games, you play LeBron, you play Anthony Davis, you play Jimmy Butler. Find a way to make it work. Play all three and move on. It's that simple, right? LeBron is going to be, I'd say, 90+% owned. Anthony Davis is going to be probably 80+%, and same thing with Jimmy Butler. And I agree. I agree with the ownership, right? They're the top three plays of the slate, no doubt. Not a contrarian take at all. And again, for cash games, you do play all three. Now, can you fade these guys in GPPs? Yes. As far as if we're just talking about LeBron and AD, I think you can fade one. It would be a really contrarian take, but we've seen it, right? Anthony Davis did have the bust in a couple games ago where he only put up 27. So it's possible, right? AD has had a couple floor games in these playoffs, but it's a super, super risky approach. Like, the guy, personally, that I would lock in would be Jimmy Butler at 10-8. I just love the price on him. He's just a different player when, with no Dragic out there. He's just been super, super aggressive. Bam being out there didn't really affect him at all usage-wise. So, yeah, Jimmy, in my opinion, for his price, should be the highest owned play of the slate. But back to the top two guys, the Lakers. Again, in GPPs, I don't necessarily think you have to play both. Like, personally, I would probably just play these two guys in any format, in cash and GPP, and then figure out the rest of the four. I think it is possible to fade AD in GPPs, right? But it would be super, super risky because he's going to be very, very high owned. So, like I said, LeBron definitely safer than AD right now. He's just doing more. Anthony Davis, Miami's done a pretty good job defensively on him. And then Jimmy Butler, like I said, he's just taken over for this Miami Heat team last 3 games. 56, 83, 56 fantasy points. He's just a different player with no Dragic out there. So, yeah, love Jimmy. He's my favorite play of his spend-ups for his price. I think you should play him no matter what. But that's really it for the top three guys. Bam Adebayo is a contrarian play. Last slate I tried to get there's slates where I'll try to play the optimal lineup, and then there's slates where I'll try to get super, super different and play the ownership game. Last slate I tried to get different. I played Bam, the captain. Didn't work out for me. Right now Bam's just not a guy I'm prioritizing, especially at this price. The Lakers are doing really good job defensively on him, and he's just not the same player in this Lakers series as he has been in the previous games in the playoffs. It's a much tougher matchup for him. So, and he's obviously dealing with an injury as well. I was only played 2 games so far. So yeah, Bam, you can play him, right? He has that upset games. It's in him, but I'm not prioritizing him right now. He's just a contrarian play for me. Heroes at 9K. Did have a better shooting game, right? 8 of 18. Put up 36 fantasy points. I still think the upside is there in Hero. He hasn't really been shooting great, right? If you look at his previous games, 6 of 18, 5 of 12, 6 of 18, then shot 8 of 18. He does have to be the number 2 here. Him and Bam, if Miami wants a chance to pull off this upset. you're getting him at a little bit of a discount off of Bam Adebayo. But again, 9K, he's not like super, super cheap. So him and Bam, for me, are just contrarian plays. They're viable, right? They can have upside. But the optimal lineup, in my opinion, is you play the top 3 guys here. So, Dragic, briefly talk about him. If he does play, he'll be in the same category as Hero and Bam Adebayo for me. Contrarian play, obviously dealing with the injury. Don't expect him to play, but if he does play, you can put him in the same category as Hero and Bam for me. Yeah, Crowder 7-4, I'm not going to get to. He'll play probably over 30 minutes. He'll probably get around 25 fantasy points. He's been really consistent in 24 of the last 3 games. Upside for him is about 30-ish. I don't know if that's going to do it on this slate. So, yeah, Crowder's not a guy I'm overly excited about. I think he's fine if you land on him, but I'm not going to prioritize him. Duncan Robinson finally did get the price bump. Played 33 minutes and checked back in the 4th, something that I was a little bit surprised about. The game before where he played 39 was because Nunn got in foul trouble. But the last game he came back in the 4th, something we don't see a whole lot from Duncan. So, the rotation, or his minutes are still very, he could play 20 if he's struggling. He could play close to 40 if he's shooting well. There's a wide range of outcomes. The same thing with his fantasy production, right? Because he's very scoring dependent. He has to hit his threes, so he's not hitting his threes. The floor is super, super low, like we saw, in Game 1, where he had 5 fantasy points in 27 minutes. So Duncan's a tricky one. We're not getting him at a nice discount either. Like 7K, you are going to have to pay premium for. So know the risk. The upside is he can go for 30, but he has to hit his threes. So not overly excited about that price tag for Duncan. Rondo's the guy I really like in the mid-range. 6.2K, in my opinion, is too cheap. Did only have 19 fantasy points the last game. Doesn't worry me a whole lot. Didn't shoot great. The thing that I like to see is the minutes. 26, 28, and 28 minutes. Again, he's a do-it-all guy. With the assists, the rebounding, and when he does score the ball, like he did a couple games ago, he can go for, the upside is probably about 40 for him. So, really like Rondo. I think he is my favorite play here in the mid-range at that price. KCP has been shooting well. He has. The minutes have been there for him. He's going to play about 30 minutes. Again, he's the 3-and-D guy. The floor is somewhat low. We saw it 2 games ago if he's not hitting his threes. But the upside is probably about 30 from him. So, KCP, I know the price is coming up. I still think he's viable. He has really been the Lakers, him and Rondo have been the 3rd and 4th best players here for the Lakers in this series. I have no issue with KCP. Again, know the risk, right? The floor is somewhat low if he's not hitting his threes. He's been a little bit up and down, right? Floor probably below 10-ish. But upside of probably close to, probably that last game was his upside, right? 15, 5, and 3. Normally we don't see a whole lot of assists from KCP. Again, he's kind of reliant on hitting those threes. But he has been pretty solid so far this series, so I think he's a fine, cheaper option. Kuzma at 4.8, another guy that has been a little bit up and down, been struggling shooting the ball. Only 19 minutes the last game. They've been, kind of comfortable giving Markieff Morris more minutes. So, the price is playable from Kuzma. Again, upside probably mid-20s if he is shooting the ball well. Danny Green, minutes been going down on him. He has not been shooting great. 1 of 8, 0 of 6, 4 of 8. The price point of 4.04 does make him playable, right? But the floor is low, and he is a riskier option right now than KCP because of the minutes. He's getting about 20 minutes a game, whereas KCP getting about 30 minutes. So sure, you're going to have to pay an extra, 1,000 or so for KCP, but you're also going to get like 10 more minutes. So if I was going to play one of these 3-and-D guys, I would feel more comfortable going to KCP, just paying an extra 1,000. Not saying Green's out of play, right? We did see 30 minutes from him, game 1, was it? So potential, if he is shooting the ball well, they will extend him, but he is the riskier of the 3-and-D options here for the Lakers. Yeah, Kendrick Nunn at 4K was a little bit of disappointment. Did not shoot great, right? 2 of 11. And I think that's why he got pulled there in the 4th. But he shot the ball 11 times. He's an aggressive player. I know, again, didn't play great, but for a guy like this cheap, him and probably a guy like Alex Caruso interests me the most, and a guy like Markieff Morris has been those are the really cheap guys I would consider. Nunn is going to be lower owned because we have Markieff Morris, who is at 3.6. I think he's going to be the most popular, really cheap play. But don't rule out Nunn, right? We saw him in garbage time. He put up a nice fantasy point game, and then in game 2, he had a really solid day, 24 fantasy points. So Nunn's still someone I'm considering in the cheap range. And then, yeah, I mentioned Markieff Morris. I think he's going to be probably the most popular value play. 25 and 30 minutes of last game. He did start the second half over Dwight Howard. I don't know if that's a trend that's going to continue, but I think we probably get at least 20 minutes from him. And he's a good three-point shooter, right? He's been shooting the ball 13 times, 8 times the last couple of games. So I think Markieff Morris is perfectly fine value option. Again, he's going to be really popular. Do I think he's a must-play for value? No, because I don't think he's going to play 30 minutes again. But the minutes have been trending up on him. So, and again, minutes trending down on guys like Dwight Howard, guys in Danny Green. So I think Markieff Morris is a pretty safe value option, but he's going to be popular. Again, I don't necessarily think he's a must-play, but definitely one of the better value plays for sure. Caruso, finally, I want to talk about 3-4. Had a not-so-good game last game. Doesn't worry me a whole lot. Kind of had his floor. But he's a guy normally going to give up mid-20s minutes. He's out there for his defense. Can probably get you an upside of like 20 fantasy points. So, yeah, right now you probably are going to feel a little bit more comfortable with Markieff Morris. But don't rule out Caruso if that's the way you want to get different, because you know Morris is going to be popular. Maybe you could pivot to Caruso, or you could play both. Right? I don't hate the idea of playing both those guys for value. Dwight Howard's a risky value option. Only played 8 minutes the last game. Did not start did not play in the second half. I still think there's a chance that he gets his normal 15, 16 minutes, but it obviously makes him riskier because we saw last game he did not play in the second half. So Dwight is going to be low owned, but he's still in play, right? Because if he does get his 15 minutes, he can go for 15 to 20 fantasy points. So he's a good fantasy point per minute guy. So yeah, I would not, like if I was single entry, probably wouldn't pull the trigger on Dwight, but he can still get you there in that time. The question is, does he get his 15 minutes, right? Olynyk was the guy that I was the big question mark last slate. I'm not overly surprised. They did play him a couple minutes alongside Bam, but that was about it. Really, he just backed up Bam, which was kind of what I was expecting. I thought there's a chance he would get a DNP. I thought there's a chance maybe they'd play him a little bit more alongside Bam since he shot the ball so well the last couple of games. But basically strictly the backup center role. 3K, again, he's a solid point per minute guy, but right now more of a contrarian play. You really need something to happen to Bam for Kallio to be in play here. Iguodala at 2-4. Well, if you need someone super, super cheap, like below 3K, Iguodala is probably your guy. Not a really good fantasy point per minute guy. The minutes aren't amazing. I would say probably close to 20 minutes from him. Upside for him is probably about 15 fantasy points. Really needs one of those games where he has a couple steals. So, Iguodala playable. I'm not really excited about it, though. Myers Leonard, don't play him. He's not going to play unless there's a huge blowout. And that's it. Like Solomon Hill might come in for a few minutes, but nothing to really consider there at that price. So that's it for the player-by-player breakdown. Again, guys, cash. You play the top 3 guys and move on. Whether that be you use one of those guys in the captain or go someone cheap. I think the safe route is to probably go Jimmy Butler in the captain. So Jimmy, AD, LeBron. That's 3.2K remaining. Would be a little bit difficult, right? You're going to have to play Iguodala most likely. But it's something that you can, again, mess around with the roster construction. You can go that route, or you can go play someone in as like a cheaper option in the captain spot. Guys I would consider below the top 3 guys for captain. Well, again, I mentioned I like Rondo in the mid-range. He's probably my favorite play in this mid-range. And then probably a guy like Markieff Morris, Kendrick Nunn, Caruso. Those are probably the guys I would personally consider. So let's just say, I don't know. I know Markieff Morris is going to be popular, but let's say we throw him in the captain spot. That's 8.9K remaining, and jam in the top 3 guys, which I think you should do for cash. Don't necessarily have to play all 3 in GPP, but that would leave you 4.8K remaining. So you kind of, again, mess with the build there. That's always a viable roster construction. Or go, again, guy I like in the mid-range, a guy like Rondo, play the top 3 guys, and then how much does that leave you left? 2.8K remaining, so that'd be a little bit more tough to do that route. But you kind of get where I'm going and how I'm going to attack the slate. I don't really think there's an edge on this one, to be honest. If you're going to win a GPP, you might have to get lucky on one of those 3-and-D guys, the Lakers, whether it be KCP or Green. I know Markieff Morris is not a 3-and-D guy, but guys that are kind of reliant on scoring. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for the video today, guys. So if you have been enjoying the content so far, I'd really appreciate it if you leave a like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you know when I upload videos, you know when to go live. Again, I will be live streaming 30 minutes before lock to go over everything, so make sure to check out the live stream. Thanks again, guys, and I will see you all tomorrow in the live stream.